Night falls over Rome like a slow exhalation. The marble temples fade into silhouettes, their columns whispering to one another in the cool breeze drifting in from the 7 hills. The chatter of the forum dies down, merchants closing their stalls, the clatter of bronze coins replaced by the softer rhythm of footsteps, boots on stone, sandals on dust. And somewhere between the solemn hush of the gods and the restless heartbeat of the streets, another Rome wakes. This is the Rome not written in law or carved in triumphal arches. The Rome of shadows, of whispered bargains, of lives lived half in the glow of lamplight and half in the unblinking gaze of the moon. Here, in the narrow veins of the city, the alleys that run like capillaries through the brick and stone, women wait. Some lean against the walls, arms folded, lips painted in the dim light. Others drift slowly past, their anklets chiming with the smallest sound, enough to catch a man's ear, enough to draw his eyes from the safe and the familiar. The Romans call them meretrices, the earners, though their names shift like sand depending on who speaks them. Lupi, the she-wolves; Amici, the friends; Scorta, the hides to be used. Yet behind every title there is a heartbeat, and behind every heartbeat, a story. A girl from the provinces who once dreamed of marriage but found herself instead sold to a brothel by a father drowning in debt. A freedwoman who could not find honest work in a city where every job belonged to a man's nephew or cousin. An aging courtesan who had once dined with senators and poets, now haunting the edges of the Subura, her silks worn thin, her laughter still sharp enough to draw a coin. The streets of the eternal city are a stage, and these women are its quiet performers. Their gestures are practiced: how to lean into a man's ear without seeming desperate, how to let a hand linger just enough to promise warmth without revealing the price too soon. The scent of perfumed oil clings to them, fighting against the smoke of the tallow lamps, against the ever-present aroma of Rome itself, wine and bread and dust and sweat. And above it all, the moon watches. It sees the deal struck with nothing more than a glance, the hands that exchange coins with the same detachment one might buy figs or olives. It sees the smiles that vanish the moment a man turns away. It sees the women walk back into the dark, their sandals quiet against the stones, already thinking of the next night, the next bargain, the next lamplit hour. Rome sleeps, but it does not dream in innocence. Even the marble gods in their temples know the truth, that the city's heartbeat is not only found in the Senate or the Forum, but in the shadows, in the rustle of linen, in the low music of a woman's voice making promises she will never keep, and perhaps never meant to. Here begins the story, slow, winding as the night itself. A story of survival and seduction, of hunger and gold, of lives lived in the delicate balance between power and ruin. For the women of these streets, the moon is a confidant, the darkness a cloak, and the city is both their prison and their stage. And as the lamps sway in the wind and the Tiber whispers past its banks, the first chapter of this hidden Rome unfolds, one step, one coin, one sigh at a time. Behind these heavy stone walls and beneath the cracked plaster, the city hides its secrets in chambers known as lupanars, wolf dens. Places smaller than a child's bedroom, yet vast with stories too complex for the marble halls above. Each doorway is a threshold between public and private, between survival and surrender. Inside, the air is thick with the scent of oil, sweat, and whispered prayers to gods forgotten by polite society. Women share these cramped spaces, their bodies pressed against the cold stone, their voices low murmurs of hope and despair. In the shadows, friendship blossoms like stubborn weeds, quiet and unyielding. Yet even here, freedom is measured in coin and time. Walls listen to laughter and tears alike. They remember every touch, every plea, every bargain made beneath their worn arches. In Rome, to wear the female toga is to wear a mark no woman chooses lightly. It is a garment of paradox, woolen threads woven not for comfort, but for legal branding. Where respectable matrons adorn themselves in stola and palla, she must drape herself in the toga, signaling her place in the city's unforgiving hierarchy. The toga proclaims her profession with unyielding clarity, a woven announcement visible to every passerby. It is a cloak both shield and shackle, granting recognition, yet inviting scorn. to where it is to embrace visibility while enduring invisibility, seen by all, yet understood by few. Yet beneath that coarse cloth beats the heart of a woman who navigates these streets with a strength born of necessity. Her garment may label her, but it does not define her spirit. Rome's walls are more than stone and mortar, they are the city's voice when mouths dare not speak. On these surfaces, crude charcoal sketches and bold scrawls shout in shadowed tongues. A woman's name, a price, a promise etched hastily in ink and desperation. Here, the marketplace of flesh and coin announces itself in scribbles and signs. Each mark is a beacon and a warning, a public declaration carved into the city's skin. These graffiti whisper of deals made in haste, of favors bought and sold beneath the indifferent gaze of the gods. They tell stories of men seeking solace or pleasure, and women crafting survival from ink and stone. Through the years, rain and time have worn many away, yet the walls hold on, steadfast keepers of these silent confessions that I am the heart of the city's order, even desire must answer to law and ledger. Coins clatter onto bronze scales, their weight measured with exacting care. The tax collector's quill scratches names and sums into wax, transforming fleeting moments of intimacy into permanent records. For the women of Rome, taxation is a reminder of the dual chains they wear, one forged by society, the other by survival. Each coin surrendered is a breath exhaled in the endless pursuit of freedom. Behind these numbers lies a world unseen, of lives negotiated in shadows, of sacrifices silent and unseen. Yet even here, amidst bureaucracy and burden, resilience blooms, a quiet testament to the human spirit's refusal to be crushed beneath stone and statute. In the city of Rome, where stone and mortar form the bones of empire, even the walls have a voice. But not the lofty speeches carved into marble pillars or inscribed on triumphal arches. No, these walls speak in whispers, in scrawled charcoal and hurried ink, telling stories too raw, too real, for the grandeur above. Imagine running your fingers gently over the rough surface of a tavern wall, worn smooth by centuries of weather and passing hands. There, scratched into the plaster, are messages from lives lived at the edge of the city's light, names etched with trembling fingers, numbers marking the price of a night's solace, crude images hinting at desires and dreams. These graffiti are the unspoken language of the streets. A marketplace of longing, painted not with brush or chisel, but with charcoal sticks and quick fingers, hurried beneath the watchful eyes of soldiers and senators. They speak of men who came seeking more than wine, their coins heavy with expectation, their voices low with hope or hunger. They tell of women who carved survival from stone and shadow, who offered smiles sharper than daggers and touches softer than silk, each mark a beacon to those who understood. Every line, every scribble, every faded heart is a testament to the city's unseen conversations, the commerce of flesh and coin, the fragile dance of power and surrender. And as rain falls softly, washing the dust from the streets, the walls hold their secrets close. They remember the names forgotten by time, the faces lost beneath togas and veils. They stand silent witness to the resilience of those who dared to be seen, if only for a moment, beneath the eternal moon. A single coin, small, cold, and unassuming, carries within it the weight of countless hopes and quiet sacrifices. In the hands of Rome's women of the night, each denarius is a token not just of commerce, but of survival itself. Silver gleams under flickering oil lamps, the metal catching the light like a promise, a lifeline tossed across the churning sea of the city's shadows. Imagine that coin passing from one palm to another, its journey measured not in distance, but in whispered negotiations and furtive glances. It buys not just a night's company, but the fragile illusion of safety, the briefest respite from hunger or cold. It is counted carefully, twice, thrice, as though the number itself might summon a better fate. Yet this currency is more than metal and value. It is the language of exchange between power and vulnerability. With each coin, a story is written, of courage, of desperation, of the delicate balance between agency and constraint. For the women who take these coins, the act is never simple. Behind every hand extended lies a calculated risk, a negotiation between body and soul, between the price paid and the price paid in silence. The denarius, small and worn, bears witness to the countless nights when survival was bought one coin at a time. It is both weight and hope, burden and blessing. And as the city's lamps flicker low and the moon slides slowly across the sky, that coin passes quietly into the story of Rome's eternal night. I in the grand machinery of Rome, where laws bind citizens and emperors decree the fate of empires, even the world of desire is not exempt from order and accountancy. Here, within these austere walls, the tax collector reigns, not with sword or shield, but with ink and ledger. The weight of silver coins is measured, recorded, and tallied, each denarius marked as tribute to the state's insatiable appetite. Imagine the clatter of bronze coins falling onto cold scales, a sound sharp and certain amid the quiet murmur of scribbling quills. Names, numbers, and prices are etched into wax tablets, transforming moments of intimacy into indelible records. For the women who earn by the night, this taxation is a heavy yoke, proof that their labors, though often invisible, are acknowledged and exploited by the city's governance. Yet, within this web of regulation lies a complex truth. The tax is both burden and protection, a recognition that these women's presence is woven into the fabric of urban life. It binds them to the city's laws, even as it marks them as outsiders. Every coin surrendered is a reminder of control, but also of existence. In the quiet flicker of the lamp, the ledger grows, silently chronicling the lives of those who barter body and soul to survive. And though the tax collector's gaze may be cold, the women behind these numbers are anything but faceless. They are threads in Rome's vast tapestry, woven with resilience, shadow, and the quiet defiance of survival. In the heart of Rome's labyrinthine streets, the tavern is a refuge and a stage, a place where the city's many stories intersect beneath the low, shadowed beams. Here, amid the clatter of clay cups and the hum of quiet conversation, women find a momentary shelter. They lean against pillars worn smooth by time and touch, their gazes scanning the room with practiced patience. Picture a woman in this half-light, her face softened by the flickering glow of oil lamps, eyes heavy with the weight of countless nights. She watches and waits, the slow rhythm of the tavern's pulse syncing with the steady beat of her own heart. Her presence is both invitation and shield, a silent call to those who know the dance, where glances are currency and silence speaks volumes. These tavern corners hold whispered secrets, exchanged like delicate coins passed discreetly between fingers. Laughter may bubble up, fleeting and light, but beneath it lies a current of caution, a dance with danger as old as the city itself. In these moments, the women are both observers and participants in a fragile theater of survival. And as the night deepens, the tavern becomes a world unto itself, a cocoon of warmth amid the chill of the Roman night. Within these walls, the unseen burdens soften, if only briefly, and the city's harsh judgment falls silent. For here, beneath the heavy beams and murmured conversations, the women hold their ground, steady and resolute, waiting for whatever the night will bring. In the stillness of a Roman night, away from the clamor of the streets and the restless footsteps, there comes a quiet moment, a pause, fragile as the flame of an oil lamp flickering low in the dark. A woman lifts a small clay cup, its rim worn smooth by countless hands, and draws the deep, fragrant wine to her lips. The crimson liquid slides slowly, burning softly on her tongue and settling like a warm whisper against the cold weight that rests heavy on her chest. This is no celebration, no feast of joy, but a ritual of courage, a brief reprieve from the unyielding demands of a world that knows her only by the harsh light of day. The cup is a silent companion, holding in its depths the bittersweet taste of strength and sorrow mingled like the shadows that cling to the room's corners. As she drinks, her eyes catch the bronze mirror's faint reflection, a face worn by endurance, lined with the stories etched into her very skin. It is a face that has known laughter and loss, hope and despair, and yet, it gazes back steady and unbroken. This small moment, quiet and sacred, is a testament to resilience, a reminder that even in the harshest of places, there is space for softness, for memory, for the tender fragments of self held close against the night. The wine burns its warmth down her throat, a fleeting fire that steadies the spirit and blurs the edges of a world too sharp to face alone. And as the night deepens beyond the flickering lamp, she rests, briefly, in this fragile refuge, gathering strength for the hours yet to come. In the quiet corners of Rome's shadowed streets, beyond the prying eyes of passers-by and the harsh judgments of the day, there exists a bond as ancient and resilient as the city itself. A sisterhood forged not by blood, but by shared struggle, whispered secrets, and the relentless pursuit of survival. Imagine these women gathered in the dim refuge of a lupanar, where walls close in and the world beyond fades into distant echoes. Here, amid the scent of olive oil and the faint smoke of burning tallow, they find solace in one another's presence. Their voices are soft, a gentle murmur woven from laughter and tears, memories and hopes exchanged like precious currency. They share stories of distant homes left behind, of broken dreams and fleeting joys. Their hands, worn by toil and time, reach out to comfort and steady, offering strength when it feels as if all else might crumble. Within these walls, judgment falls away, replaced by a fragile trust that binds them together. This sisterhood is a sanctuary, a place where pain can be spoken without fear, where resilience is nurtured in the quiet moments between the city's relentless demands. Though the world outside may see only shadows and silhouettes, within these walls live the beating hearts of women who refuse to be broken. And as the oil lamp flickers low and night deepens, their shared strength lingers, a silent testament to the power of connection even in the darkest hours. Within the shadows of Rome's night, where dangers lurk unseen and the chill of the dark seeps into bone and spirit, there are hands that heal. Not those of distant physicians cloaked in toga and dignity, but the quiet, steady hands of women who tend to wounds both visible and hidden. Imagine the scent of crushed herbs rising slowly, mingling with the warmth of candlelight and the faint musk of the city beyond. These women carry knowledge passed down in whispers, in the curve of a leaf, in the careful mixing of poultices and balms. Yarrow to staunch the bleeding, mugwort to ease fevered limbs, garlic to ward off infection, nature's quiet gifts wielded with care. Their touch is gentle, practiced through nights filled with whispered prayers and the soft moans of those they tend. Each remedy is a thread in the fragile fabric of survival, woven with patience, experience, and the sacred hope that pain may be eased, that life may hold a moment more. They move with reverence, aware that healing is not just of flesh, but of spirit, a delicate balance between the seen and unseen, the physical and the sacred. In their hands, the night holds a promise, that even in darkness, care can bloom and resilience can take root. As the city sleeps, these women work quietly, their presence a gentle current beneath Rome's restless heartbeat, offering balm where it is most needed, and hope where it is most scarce. In the hidden world behind Rome's grand facade, illness walks silently, a shadow that touches many lives without warning or mercy. The women who walk the city's edges know this shadow well, its cold grip felt not only in aching bones and burning skin, but deep within the spirit. Imagine the stillness of a night interrupted by quiet coughing, by whispered prayers uttered in hope and fear. The air hangs heavy with the scent of healing herbs, mingled with the sharper odor of sickness and weariness. There is no grand physician here, only the gentle ministrations of those who understand pain as both enemy and companion. Disease is a constant companion, a thief that steals vitality and dreams with equal cruelty. It is feared, hidden, yet ever-present, a reminder of the body's fragility amid the city's harsh demands. The women bear these burdens silently, their strength measured not in loud cries but in the quiet endurance of each day survived. Yet even in the darkest hours, hope lingers, a fragile thread woven through care and compassion. With every crushed leaf and whispered prayer, they fight not just for life, but for dignity amid suffering. And as dawn creeps slowly over the city's rooftops, the silent pain remains, held in tender hands, a testament to resilience etched in shadow and light. In the eternal city's vast mosaic, judgment is as constant and unyielding as the marble gods who watch from their pedestals. For the women who walk these streets, judgment is a heavy cloak, woven from whispers, scorn, and laws that mark them as outsiders. Imagine the quiet weight of eyes following every step, the muffled murmur of gossip carried on the wind, unseen yet deeply felt. The toga they wear, prescribed by law, is both a shield and a brand, a garment that proclaims their existence yet denies their humanity. It is a visible scar in the fabric of society, a symbol that separates, isolates, and confines. They move beneath the weight of this stigma, each step a negotiation between resilience and despair. The city that offers survival in coin and shadow also offers exclusion and contempt. Yet within this paradox lies an unspoken truth, the strength of those who persist despite the world's harsh verdicts. Their lives are testimonies to endurance, courage, and the quiet rebellion of simply being. Though cloaked in judgment, they carve spaces of dignity amid the stones, finding light in the darkest corners. And as the evening deepens and the stars kindle above Rome's skyline, their stories continue, woven into the city's endless, restless night, in a world marked by uncertainty and danger, where each night brings unknown threats. The women of Rome seek protection not only in stone and coin, but in the invisible realm of prayer and ritual. They turn to gods and spirits, to symbols and charms, weaving sacred threads into the fabric of their daily survival. Imagine the quiet scent of burning incense curling upward, the soft glow of flickering candles casting dancing shadows. Hands, roughened by toil yet tender in their devotion, cradle amulets, small talismans carved with care and belief. These are not mere objects, but vessels of hope, shields against misfortune and harm. Prayers whispered in the darkness seek favor from gods both great and obscure, Venus for love, Fortuna for luck, and lesser spirits invoked for safety and healing. These rituals offer a fragile comfort, a momentary sanctuary where fear can be soothed and courage renewed. They are acts of faith and defiance intertwined, affirmations of agency in a world that often denies it. Through these sacred practices, the women connect to something greater than themselves, an enduring spirit that watches over the night, that cradles their hopes and fears alike. And as the incense smoke rises and the night deepens, the rituals bind them to the eternal rhythms of the city, offering light amidst the shadows. Survival in the eternal city demands more than endurance. It requires a keen art, a dance with power and peril woven through every encounter. For the women who walk Rome's shadowed streets, each night is a delicate balance, a negotiation between trust and caution, strength and vulnerability. Imagine the steady rhythm of footsteps echoing softly on cobblestones, the whispered promises carried on a breeze thick with expectation. The city's alleys become arenas where intuition guides movement and silence holds meaning. Here, eyes speak volumes and glances are loaded with unspoken agreements. To navigate this world is to understand the shifting tides of power, between client and courtesan, between law and lawlessness, between survival and surrender. It is a skill honed through years of watchful waiting, quick decisions, and a heart tempered by experience. The risk of danger is ever present, yet so is the fierce determination to carve out space within the city's relentless demands. Each choice made, each path taken, is an act of courage. The women carry their stories quietly, their resilience as much a shield as any weapon. And beneath the vast Roman sky, where stars shimmer like distant fires, their footsteps weave the silent narrative of endurance, one step, one breath, one night at a time. Amid the city's restless nights, there are moments when laughter breaks through, the fragile, fleeting echoes of joy that ripple across tired faces. Laughter shared between women who know the city's harsh truths, yet find in one another a brief reprieve from hardship. Picture a courtyard bathed in dawn's first light, where voices soften and smiles bloom like wildflowers amid the stone and shadow. Here, sorrow and mirth intertwine, a delicate dance of memories, both bright and bruised. The stories told are stitched with loss, yes, but also with resilience, with the quiet refusal to be defined by pain alone. In these shared moments, the weight of the world lightens, if only briefly. The bonds forged in shadow become a source of strength, a reminder that even in the darkest places, the human spirit seeks connection and comfort. These women, bound by circumstance and choice, find in laughter a language that transcends judgment and fear. And as the city awakens around them, the echoes of their shared humanity linger, soft whispers woven into Rome's ancient stones, carried gently by the morning breeze. Not all women who walk Rome's streets carry the same burden. Some are bound not only by circumstance but by chains. Enslaved, their lives marked by captivity and the harsh reality of ownership, they know a different kind of survival. Within these walls of stone and shadow, freedom is a distant dream, a flicker of light beyond the reach of weary hands. Imagine the cold weight of iron shackles, the sharp edges biting into skin softened by hardship. The air hangs heavy with the scent of damp stone and despair, broken only by quiet sighs and the steady rhythm of days measured in confinement. Yet even in this darkness, a fierce spark endures, a will to endure, to resist, to hold onto fragments of self amid loss. Their stories are often silenced, hidden beneath the grand narratives of empire and conquest. But in the quiet moments, when the city sleeps and the world falls away, the echoes of their lives rise like whispers on the wind. They are testimonies to resilience in the face of bondage, courage within the confines of captivity. And though chains may bind the body, they cannot fully capture the spirit. In the depths of Rome's night, beneath stone and silence, the hope for freedom flickers still, fragile, yet unyielding. Day, the city hums with life, the marketplace a tapestry of sound, color, and commerce, where goods change hands amid the cries of merchants and the chatter of citizens. Within this vibrant chaos, the world of desire straddles two realms, the public and the private, each demanding its own kind of navigation and performance. Imagine women standing at tavern entrances, their white togas stark against the muted stone, a visible sign of their trade, their presence both invitation and challenge. Their voices, sharp and clear, mingle with the calls of fruit sellers and blacksmiths, carving out space in a city that often seeks to erase them. Here, the marketplace becomes a stage, a place where negotiation is both literal and metaphorical, a daily act of balancing agency and survival. Behind closed doors, these women enter quieter worlds, rooms lit by flickering oil lamps, where transactions become moments of intimacy and risk. The city's pulse quickens in these private spaces, where power shifts with each whispered bargain, each touch measured with care. In this marketplace of flesh and coin, the boundaries blur, between commerce and connection, between necessity and choice. And as the sun arcs high and shadows shorten, the women move gracefully between these worlds, their stories woven into the fabric of Rome's restless heart. In the intricate social tapestry of Rome, clothing is more than mere fabric. It is language, identity, and often a mark of distinction or exclusion. For the women who walk the city's shadowed streets, the female toga is both a garment and a statement, a fabric that sets them apart, visible to all, yet understood by few. Picture the white folds of this toga catching the soft glow of evening light, its coarse threads whispering of regulation and stigma alike. Worn not by choice but by law, it announces the wearer's place in the city's order, a badge of visibility that is at once empowering and isolating. This toga is a uniform of commerce, a cloak that brands and protects, a fabric woven with threads of defiance and survival. It is a symbol that commands attention, drawing gazes that range from desire to disdain. The wearer carries this garment with a complex grace, aware that it shapes not only how she is seen, but how she must move through the world, always negotiating the space between judgment and necessity. Within these folds lie stories of resilience, women who claim their place amid the city's contradictions, who wear the toga not just as clothing but as armor. And as the night deepens, the white toga becomes a quiet beacon, a marker of identity etched in cloth, beneath the eternal Roman sky. As darkness falls over Rome, the city's sounds shift, a chorus of voices rises from shadowed doorways and narrow alleys, soft calls that ripple through the night like whispered promises. These are the voices of women whose lives are woven into the city's nocturnal rhythm, calls that echo through stone and silence, invitations carried on the cool evening air. Imagine the subtle melody of these calls, low, coaxing, sometimes laughter-tinged, each one a carefully crafted song meant to draw attention without drawing danger. The streets become a stage for this delicate performance, where voice is both tool and shield, where every word carries weight and meaning. The echoes mingle with the city's night sounds, the clatter of footsteps, the murmur of distant conversations, the rustle of fabric and the soft beating of restless hearts. These calls tell stories of longing and negotiation, of moments fleeting yet charged with significance. They are voices of resilience, rising to claim presence in a world that often seeks to silence and erase. And as the city breathes beneath the stars, these night songs weave an unseen tapestry, threads of connection, survival, and quiet defiance carried on the breath of Rome's eternal night. Behind the veils and the stark white toga, behind the whispered calls and the faint graffiti, there lies a hidden world, a world of faces both revealed and concealed. For these women, identity is a fragile dance between exposure and anonymity, a balance between claiming self and hiding from judgment. Imagine eyes that hold stories deeper than the city's stones, windows to lives marked by resilience and pain. Faces etched with the lines of countless nights spent navigating the city's sharp edges, each glance a silent testament to strength and survival. Yet these faces are often veiled, not just by cloth, but by necessity, shields against a world quick to judge and slow to understand. Anonymity offers protection, a temporary refuge from the relentless gaze of society. It is a paradox, the need to be seen for commerce, and the need to remain unseen for safety. In this delicate balance, the women craft their identities, sometimes open, sometimes hidden, always complex. Their faces are mosaics of experience, painted in shadows and light, bearing the weight of history and the quiet defiance of those who live beyond simple labels. And as the city moves around them, their stories unfold quietly, threads woven into the fabric of Rome's eternal night. Amid the bustling streets and grand temples of Rome, there are whispers carved not in words spoken aloud, but etched in stone and plaster, graffiti that holds the echoes of lives often overlooked. These scratched names and crude drawings are voices from the shadows, testimonies left by women who sought to claim their place in a city that tried to forget them. Imagine running your fingers over the rough surface, feeling the grooves where a lover's name was traced, or a message scrawled in haste, moments captured in defiance and desire. These inscriptions speak of presence and permanence, of the yearning to be remembered beyond the fleeting night. They are fragments of lives, frozen in time, bearing witness to the vibrant, complex world of Rome's women of the night. Each mark is a story, a secret shared, a warning, a plea, a laugh, or a lament. Together, they form a silent chorus, rising from the city's walls to tell of resilience, pain, and humanity. And as the sun dips low and shadows stretch long, these whispered names remain, quiet guardians of memory beneath the eternal Roman sky. Beyond the city's clamorous streets and the harsh glare of daylight, there exist hidden sanctuaries, quiet rooms where weary bodies seek rest and fragile spirits find fleeting peace. Within the walls of the Lupanar, these spaces are more than shelter. They are havens carved from necessity, small islands of calm in a sea of chaos. Imagine the soft rustle of linens and the faint scent of olive oil mingled with dust and stone. A cot worn smooth by countless nights holds the weight of exhaustion and the hope of renewal. Here, in the stillness, the women find moments to reclaim themselves, to heal, to breathe, to dream beyond the city's relentless demands. These sanctuaries are spaces of quiet dignity, where whispers replace calls, and shared glances offer comfort without judgment. Though often cramped and humble, they are imbued with the sacredness of survival, a reminder that even in the harshest lives, there is room for tenderness and rest. As sunlight softens the edges of the room and the city stirs outside, these hidden places hold their secrets close, guardians of resilience beneath Rome's eternal sky. Within the vastness of the city, beyond the confines of stone walls and the watchful eyes of strangers, there blooms a quieter, deeper world, one of community and solidarity. Here, among trusted faces, the women find more than companionship, they find a lifeline. Imagine the sharing of simple meals, the breaking of bread passed hand to hand, the laughter that rises unguarded in this private circle. These moments are sanctuaries of belonging, places where burdens are shared and strength is multiplied. In the gentle exchange of stories and support, They weave a fabric of resilience strong enough to hold even the heaviest sorrows. This community offers protection against the isolation that shadows their lives elsewhere, a network of care that sustains through hardship and fear. It is a sisterhood forged not in comfort, but in shared struggle and unspoken understanding. And as the sun dips low and the city's pulse slows, these bonds shine bright, a quiet testament to the power of connection amid adversity. Survival in the Eternal City often hinged not only on strength and cunning but on navigating the harsh realities of economics, where every coin paid carried the weight of both necessity and control. For the women of Rome's streets, this meant contending with the ever-watchful taxman, a figure both feared and resented. Imagine the cold touch of coins pressed reluctantly into rough hands, the heavy ledger marking each transaction with unforgiving precision. The state's gaze was unrelenting, its demands exacting, taxes levied not just on goods and trade, but on flesh and livelihood. This financial burden was a constant shadow, narrowing margins and adding to the precariousness of daily existence. Yet within this system, women demonstrated remarkable resilience, juggling debts, bargaining with officials, and finding ways to survive amid the pressure. Economic survival was a relentless balancing act, a dance between compliance and resistance, between the need to pay and the desire to preserve what little was theirs. In this struggle, every coin earned was both a small victory and a reminder of the city's inescapable grip. As night falls once more on Rome, these economic battles continue quietly, unseen but deeply felt. Woven into the complex tapestry of survival beneath the city's eternal sky, in the labyrinthine streets of Rome, names were more than mere labels. They were currencies of identity, reputation, and sometimes, survival. For the women who walked these paths, names could protect, empower, or expose, weaving a complex web of personal history and public perception. Imagine the whispered exchange of names, some given at birth, others earned through deeds or necessity. Nicknames painted with irony, affection, or disdain became shields and swords in a world quick to judge. The graffiti etched into walls was a testament to this, names carved into stone, claiming space, asserting presence in a city that often sought to erase. Their names carried stories of endurance and defiance, laughter and sorrow, moments of tenderness and sharp encounters with fate. In a society that marginalized them, the act of naming was an act of reclaiming, an assertion of self amid anonymity. Through these names, their voices echoed beyond fleeting encounters, anchoring them to a history too often forgotten. And as the shadows lengthen across Rome's ancient stones, these names remain, silent yet powerful testaments to lives lived fully, fiercely, beneath the city's eternal sky. In the midst of hardship and the weight of daily struggles, there exist moments of lightness, where music and dance become expressions of life's enduring spirit. Within the walls of taverns and hidden rooms, melodies rise to chase away sorrow, rhythms pulse to revive tired hearts. Imagine the gentle strumming of a lyre, notes weaving through the smoke-filled air, mingling with soft claps and the subtle sway of bodies seeking escape in movement. Music is more than mere entertainment. It is a language of connection, a bridge between pain and joy, despair and hope. In these fleeting moments, the women reclaim fragments of themselves, alive, vibrant, and unbroken despite the city's harsh gaze. Dance becomes a ritual of resilience, a celebration of survival, where the body speaks what words cannot. Through song and movement, they affirm their humanity, their strength, their right to joy amid adversity. And as the music flows through the night, it weaves a tapestry of shared experience, threads of sorrow and laughter entwined beneath Rome's eternal sky. As the night's embrace slowly loosens and dawn's gentle light seeps into Rome's streets, a quiet reckoning unfolds. The city awakens, shedding shadows as it prepares for the relentless rhythm of a new day. For the women who tread its paths, dawn brings a moment of stillness, a pause between the night's demands and the day's uncertain promises. Imagine the cool morning air, soft with the scent of baked bread and dew on stone. The city is hushed, save for the distant calls of merchants and the soft footsteps of early risers. The white toga, once a banner in the night, now catches the gentle sun, a silent witness to lives lived between light and shadow. This moment holds both reflection and resolve, the weight of the night behind, the possibilities of the day ahead. It is a time when the world seems vast and quiet, where hope can be whispered anew, even amid hardship. And as the city breathes with the pulse of morning, these women move forward, steady, resilient, part of Rome's eternal story. Beneath the grandeur of Rome's towering columns and marble facades lies a quieter, enduring legacy, woven not in stone or gold, but in the unseen threads of resilience. The women whose lives were marked by hardship, stigma, and survival are the hidden weavers of this tapestry, bearing the weight of history with strength and grace. Imagine the delicate vines of a mosaic, each intertwined petal and leaf a testament to growth amid adversity. Their stories are like these patterns, complex, beautiful, and often overlooked, yet integral to the city's living fabric. They embody endurance not just in the body, but in spirit, threads connecting past to present, pain to hope. Though history may have spoken softly of their lives, their legacy pulses quietly beneath the surface, resilient, unyielding, and profoundly human. In their footsteps, we find lessons of courage, community, and the profound capacity to endure. And as the sun sets behind Rome's ancient skyline, their stories remain, whispered on the wind, woven into the eternal rhythm of the city's heartbeat. Behind the veiled curtain of night, beyond the bustle of Rome's crowded streets and the cold gaze of passing strangers, lies a world cloaked in secrecy, a sanctuary of whispered conversations and cautious trust. In these quiet chambers, where shadows mingle with flickering lamplight, the women find moments of privacy rarely granted by the city's relentless glare. Imagine the soft glow of the oil lamp casting dancing shadows on cracked walls, the muted rustle of fabric, the faint clink of coins exchanged discreetly. These rooms are more than mere shelter. They are sanctuaries where stories are shared in hushed tones, where plans are whispered and alliances forged. Within these walls, the women are not merely figures of commerce or objects of judgment. They are human beings seeking connection, understanding, and respite. Here, they shed the heavy burden of public scrutiny and reveal the depths of their lives, hopes and fears, dreams and regrets, laughter and tears. The city's harsh realities recede, replaced by a fragile sense of belonging and the quiet strength found in solidarity. It is in these hidden spaces that resilience takes root, not just in survival, but in the courageous act of living fully, even amid uncertainty. As the night deepens and the oil lamp's flame flickers low, the secrets behind closed doors weave a tapestry of humanity, threads of light in the enduring shadow of Rome's eternal night. The white toga, a garment heavy with meaning, a symbol both of societal branding and personal endurance. For the women who wear it, this piece of cloth is more than fabric. It is a mantle of visibility and invisibility intertwined, a public label marking them apart, yet a private armor shielding fragile dignity. Imagine the way the moonlight drapes over the folds of the toga, softening its harsh outlines, much like the women soften the edges of their lives with courage and grace. The toga speaks loudly, proclaiming the wearer's profession in a city that thrives on order and appearance, yet it also conceals the stories beneath, the laughter shared in secret, the tears shed in solitude. Wearing the toga is a daily negotiation, a balance between the necessity of survival and the desire for respect, between exposure and concealment. It carries the weight of law, for it is a garment mandated by the empire, but within its threads also lies the subtle defiance of those who refuse to be erased or forgotten. Through worn and frayed edges, the toga tells a story of resilience, of women who claim their space beneath Rome's vast sky, who navigate the shadows and light of a city eternal and unforgiving. And as the night deepens and the city sleeps, the white toga remains, a silent witness to lives woven with both hardship and quiet dignity. As twilight descends upon Rome, the market's pulse quickens. A complex dance of commerce, desire, and survival unfolds beneath the fading light. Here, bodies and stories are traded alongside goods, each transaction a delicate balance of risk, negotiation, and fleeting connection. Imagine the mingling scents of spices and sweat, the murmur of voices layered with laughter and caution. Women in white togas stand poised near tavern entrances, their presence a signal in the urban symphony, calls of invitation and silent warnings all at once. The marketplace becomes a theater where the lines between public and private blur, and every glance carries weight beyond the surface. In this space, the women wield agency within constraints, crafting moments of choice amid the city's rigid structures. Each encounter holds the potential for danger and reward, for connection and loss, as lives intertwine briefly and then drift apart like shadows in the evening. Through the ebb and flow of this nightly rhythm, the marketplace reveals itself not merely as a place of trade, but as a crucible of human complexity, where stories are told and survival is an art. And as the lanterns flicker and the night deepens, the city's heartbeat carries these tales onward, whispers woven into Rome's eternal night. In the quiet moments before stepping into the city's gaze, a ritual unfolds, one of preparation, transformation, and delicate performance. The women who walk Rome's streets understand well that appearance is a language, a tool wielded with care and intention. Picture the gentle sweep of brush against skin, the subtle layering of powders to smooth and enhance, the soft scent of oils and perfumes rising like a promise. Before the bronze mirror, they compose not only their faces but the masks needed to navigate a world both seductive and dangerous. This preparation is both armor and invitation, a crafted balance between vulnerability and power. Every detail matters: the arrangement of hair, the gleam of polished nails, the careful choice of garments, to speak in the city's unspoken code. These acts of adornment are more than vanity, they are statements of identity, resilience, and survival strategy. Through these rituals, the women reclaim agency in a society that seeks to define them narrowly. As daylight fades and the city's shadows lengthen, this ritual of preparation becomes a quiet assertion, an offering to the night, a claim on space and self beneath Rome's eternal sky. In the tangled web of Rome's nocturnal economy, desire is a currency, fluid, fragile, and fraught with risk. For the women who navigate this world, each coin exchanged carries weight far beyond its metal value. It is a negotiation of power, survival, and sometimes, fleeting connection. Imagine the quiet clink of coins passed hand to hand, the subtle exchange of glances laden with unspoken understanding. Behind the curtain of commerce lies a delicate balance, between autonomy and exploitation, between the promise of reward and the shadow of loss. These transactions are not mere exchanges of money for pleasure, they are acts embedded in a complex social and economic fabric. The women's skill lies not only in their ability to charm or seduce but in their keen negotiation of value, setting prices, reading clients, managing risks in a city that watches closely and judges harshly. Within these moments, economic agency and human vulnerability intertwine, revealing a world where survival demands both cunning and courage. And as the night deepens, the currency of desire pulses steadily, an unyielding heartbeat beneath the eternal rhythm of Rome's restless streets. Beneath the surface of the city's ceaseless movement and the clamor of its streets, lies a hidden landscape, one carved not in stone or commerce, but in the delicate terrain of human emotion. For the women of Rome's night, each encounter carries more than physical exchange. It carries the whisper of pain and pleasure, the unseen burden of memory and feeling. Imagine the quiet solitude that follows the closing of a door, the moment when laughter fades and the world narrows to a silent room bathed in the soft glow of an oil lamp. In these moments, emotions rise and fall like tides, weariness mingling with fleeting joy, longing entwined with resilience, and sorrow tempered by the fierce determination to endure. Their eyes, often averted in public, now become windows into complex inner worlds, reflecting not only hardship but also moments of tenderness, connection, and even hope. It is a realm often overlooked by history, where vulnerability and strength coexist in delicate balance. The emotional landscape is shaped by countless experiences, loss and love, trust and betrayal, fear and courage, woven into the fabric of daily life. Within this hidden world, the women carry stories too fragile for the city's harsh light, stories spoken only in whispers or held silently within the heart. Yet, amid the shadows, there is also resilience, a quiet power drawn from the depths of experience, from the knowledge that to feel deeply is itself an act of survival. As Rome sleeps beneath a canopy of stars, these whispered emotions linger, soft echoes in the night, threads of humanity woven into the eternal fabric of the city's soul. In the labyrinthine maze of Rome's ancient streets, survival depended not just on strength or luck, but on the invisible threads that wove a network of protection and power. These unseen connections were lifelines, delicate, yet vital strands holding together fragile lives in a city that often threatened to unravel them. Imagine the quiet exchange of words, a touch on the arm, a knowing glance, signals that passed silently between women who understood the dangers and demands of their world. Within these networks, alliances were forged, sometimes born of friendship, sometimes of necessity, creating pockets of safety amid the city's ever-watchful eyes. These relationships extended beyond mere companionship. They were shields against violence, tools for negotiation, and sources of information that could mean the difference between peril and refuge. Power in this hidden realm was subtle yet profound, rooted in community and knowledge, in the ability to navigate complex social currents with wisdom and grace. Through these connections, women could claim small domains of agency, carving out spaces where their voices could be heard and their needs met. And as the city's shadows stretch long and the night deepens, these invisible threads hold steady, a testament to resilience woven in silence beneath Rome's eternal sky. Beyond the city's bustling streets and harsh judgments, in the quiet sanctuaries of hidden rooms, a different kind of knowledge flourished, the healing arts passed down through whispered tradition and careful hands. For the women of Rome's night, remedies were not just medicine, they were acts of care, protection, and survival woven into the fabric of daily life. Imagine the scent of crushed herbs mingling with the warm glow of candlelight, the gentle touch of hands skilled in soothing wounds and easing pain. These remedies, crafted from the earth's bounty and guarded secrets, offered relief from injuries, ailments, and the relentless wear of a hard life. Poultices, salves, and tinctures became lifelines, bridging the gap between suffering and healing in a world where formal medicine was often out of reach. The knowledge was sacred, passed from woman to woman, an inheritance of resilience and hope. Healing was as much an art of compassion as of skill, a quiet rebellion against the body's betrayals and the city's indifference. In these moments of care, the women reclaimed agency over their bodies and their lives, crafting sanctuaries of trust amid the night's uncertainty. And as the flickering candle casts its gentle light, the healing arts endure, soft threads of care woven into Rome's eternal tapestry of life and survival. In the sprawling expanse of Rome's public squares and bustling forums, society's gaze often fell heavy and unforgiving upon those who lived lives marked by stigma and survival. For the women who bore the mantle of prostitution, this judgment was a constant companion, an invisible weight pressing down upon their every step. Imagine the sharpness of sidelong glances, the whispered murmurs trailing behind, the coldness in eyes that saw them not as people, but as symbols of moral decay. This harsh societal verdict was enshrined not only in custom but in law, rules designed to marginalize, control, and contain. The white toga they wore was a double-edged sword, both a mark of visibility and a brand of shame, announcing their presence while erecting walls of exclusion. Yet beneath this weight of stigma lay a deeper reality, of resilience forged in adversity, of dignity maintained despite scorn, of humanity that refused erasure. These women navigated a world quick to condemn, but slower to understand the complexities of their lives, the economic necessity, the social structures, and the personal stories woven within. Their existence challenges us to look beyond judgment, to hear the voices muffled by history, and to recognize the strength in their survival. As the city hums around them, the weight of stigma remains, a shadow cast by society's hand, yet never fully obscuring the enduring light of human spirit beneath Rome's eternal sky. Within the shadows of Rome's unforgiving streets, beneath the weight of laws and judgments designed to control and confine, there blossomed quiet acts of resistance, small rebellions carried out with courage and subtlety. For the women of the night, defiance was woven into daily life, not in grand gestures, but in whispered words, shared knowledge, and the persistent assertion of self. Imagine the soft murmur of voices exchanged in hidden courtyards, the gentle clasp of hands offering reassurance, the furtive sharing of stories that nourish the soul. In these moments, hope flickered, small but unyielding, kindled by the bonds of community and the refusal to be silenced. Whether through secret gatherings, acts of kindness, or the simple assertion of dignity in the face of scorn, these women carved spaces where their humanity could breathe freely. Each act of defiance, no matter how quiet, was a thread in a larger tapestry of survival and resilience, a testament to the enduring power of hope even in the darkest hours. Their resistance reminds us that beneath the surface of history lie countless stories of strength, courage, and the unbreakable will to live fully. As night deepens and Rome sleeps beneath the eternal stars, these quiet rebellions continue, soft echoes of defiance and hope woven into the city's timeless soul. As the ages pass and the stones of Rome weather the slow dance of time, echoes of the night endure, whispers of lives once lived, stories carved into the fabric of the city's soul. The women who walked these ancient streets, bearing the burdens of survival and stigma, continue to speak through the quiet spaces between the ruins. Imagine the hush of twilight settling over the forum, the soft sigh of wind weaving through broken columns and empty arches. In these moments of stillness, the past seems to breathe, revealing glimpses of lives marked by resilience, courage, and unyielding humanity. Their footsteps, once quick and sure beneath the moonlight, now echo faintly, a spectral chorus woven into Rome's eternal rhythm. These stories challenge us to listen beyond the grand narratives of empire and conquest, to hear the voices of those often left unseen. They remind us that history is not only told by the powerful but lived by the many, by women who carved their place in a world that tried to deny them. And as the city sleeps beneath a blanket of stars, their legacy remains, soft and enduring, a quiet testament to lives woven into the eternal tapestry of Rome. In the vast mosaic of Rome's eternal city, freedom was a precious and precarious jewel, one often glimpsed through narrow windows of choice, framed by harsh consequences. For the women whose lives were entwined with the city's streets, each decision carried weight beyond the immediate, a complex calculus balancing desire, survival, and the longing for autonomy. Imagine the quiet moments of reflection beneath the city's flickering lamps, when the noise of the world falls away and the mind turns inward. Here, choice is not simple. It is burdened by the realities of economic need, social judgment, and the ever-present threat of violence. The desire for freedom, both literal and spiritual, pushes against the confines imposed by law and custom, creating a tension that shapes every step and every breath. Within this tension lies the courage to forge paths forward, to claim moments of agency, however fleeting, in a world that seeks to contain and define. But with each choice come consequences, risks to be weighed, sacrifices to be borne, and the constant navigation of a society that watches and judges. It is a delicate dance between hope and caution, between the pursuit of self and the constraints of circumstance. And as Rome's night deepens and the city settles into silence, these choices echo softly, testaments to the enduring human quest for freedom beneath the eternal stars. Amid the challenges and solitude of life on Rome's streets, there blossomed something quietly powerful, the bonds of friendship and solidarity that offered strength, comfort, and refuge. These connections were lifelines, woven through shared stories, mutual care, and the unspoken understanding born of common experience. Imagine the gentle murmur of laughter blending with the night air, the simple act of sharing bread and warmth beneath a canopy of stars. In these moments, walls built by society's judgment crumble, replaced by a community forged not by circumstance, but by choice. Within the circle of companionship, the women found spaces to breathe, to heal, and to reclaim pieces of themselves lost to the city's harsh gaze. These friendships were more than solace. They were acts of resistance against isolation, affirmations of humanity in a world that often sought to deny it. Solidarity became a quiet force, strengthening resolve, nurturing hope, and weaving a tapestry of resilience that stretched far beyond individual lives. And as the night deepens, the echoes of this camaraderie linger, soft threads of connection woven into the eternal fabric of Rome's night. Behind the facades and public lives, beneath the white toga and city's judgment, lie the hidden worlds, the private spaces where secrets dwell and untold stories breathe. For the women of Rome's night, much of their existence was woven in shadow, lives lived quietly, away from prying eyes and harsh voices. Imagine the hush of a cellar at night, the faint flicker of an oil lamp casting elongated shadows across time-worn walls. Here, letters tell stories never spoken aloud, memories are treasured and fears kept close. These secrets are burdens carried silently, pain hidden behind practiced smiles, hopes guarded fiercely against a world that offers little kindness. Yet within this weight of secrecy lies a fragile beauty, moments of tenderness shared in trust, dreams kept alive in whispered prayers, and the courage to endure unseen struggles. Their hidden lives remind us that history's grand narratives often leave behind the quiet details, the subtle shades of human experience that give life its full depth and color. As the night deepens and the city sleeps, these secrets remain, silent witnesses to lives lived in the spaces between light and shadow, woven into the eternal story of Rome. As the centuries unfold and the eternal city marches onward, the stories of its night dwellers endure, echoes of resilience carved into the very stones beneath their feet. The women who navigated Rome's unforgiving streets, who bore burdens heavy with stigma and hardship, carry with them a legacy both quiet and profound. Imagine the fading light casting long shadows across ancient temples and arenas, the city's pulse steady beneath the vast sky. Their journey is one of endurance, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to survive, to adapt, and to claim dignity amid adversity. Through their stories, woven into Rome's timeless tapestry, we glimpse the complexity of lives often overlooked, the blend of hardship and hope, despair and determination. This legacy invites us to listen deeply, to honor the unseen, to acknowledge the strength in vulnerability, and to carry forward the lessons etched in their footsteps. As Rome's night yields once more to dawn, these lives shine quietly beneath the stars, a reminder that every story, no matter how shadowed, is a vital thread in the fabric of history. In the grand theater of Rome's imperial glory, much of the story remains unwritten, hidden in the silent strength of those who lived in the shadows, yet shaped the pulse of the city in profound ways. These women, often unseen and unheard in the annals of history, stand as silent pillars beneath the magnificent edifice of Rome, holding up the fragile architecture of society with quiet resilience. Imagine the gentle warmth of dawn filtering through a secluded courtyard, where the air hums softly with the mingled scents of blooming flowers and aged stone. Here, away from the prying eyes of the city, a community gathers, a mosaic of lives bound together by shared experience and mutual care. Their faces tell stories not recorded by scribes or immortalized in marble but etched deeply in the collective memory of the city itself. They carried burdens few could imagine, the weight of societal scorn, the threat of violence, the daily struggle to survive amidst rigid laws and precarious freedoms. Yet beneath these challenges blossomed remarkable strength, a courage that defied erasure, a wisdom born of hardship, and a spirit that refused to be broken. Through whispered counsel, shared rituals, and steadfast solidarity, these women forged networks of support that sustained them and their communities. Their legacy is not found in grand monuments but in the enduring heartbeat of Rome, the invisible, unyielding force that shaped its streets, its stories, and its soul. As the city slowly stirs to life, their quiet strength lingers, an eternal whisper beneath the clamor of empire, a testament to lives woven deeply into the fabric of time. In the labyrinth of Rome's ancient streets, the women of the night mastered the delicate art of navigating between visibility and invisibility, a complex dance of presence and concealment under the ever-watchful eyes of society. Their white togas were both markers and masks, signaling their role in the city while cloaking the full depths of their lives from public view. Imagine the soft flicker of oil lamps casting uncertain light on uneven stones, the quiet footsteps echoing through narrow alleys where shadows and silence intertwine. To be seen was to invite scrutiny, judgment, and vulnerability, yet, To be unseen meant invisibility in a society that denied their existence without acknowledgement. Within this precarious balance, these women carved spaces where they could assert agency, moments of connection and control amid the city's rigid social order. Their movement through the city was a negotiation, a weaving of light and shadow, of exposure and retreat, of defiance and survival. This interplay shaped not only their daily lives but the very fabric of Rome's social landscape, revealing the complexities of identity and belonging in an ancient metropolis. It is a testament to human adaptability, the capacity to live fully within contradiction, to find strength in ambiguity, and to claim selfhood beneath layers of expectation. As dusk deepens and the city's veil of night settles, the women's footsteps echo softly, a whispered reminder of lives lived at the threshold of visibility and invisibility, woven into Rome's eternal tapestry. Within the hidden corners of Rome's labyrinthine streets, the women of the night were more than survivors. They were guardians of tradition, custodians of knowledge passed carefully from one generation to the next. In the flickering light of quiet rooms, wisdom flowed, stories, remedies, customs, and secrets carried like precious treasures. Imagine the soft rustle of scrolls, the gentle passing of hands weathered by time, the silent promises made in whispers and glances. This knowledge was a lifeline, a bridge between past and future, binding women together across years and trials. It encompassed not only practical skills, healing, negotiation, self-defense, but also the strength of shared experience and the resilience of spirit. Through these intimate teachings, the women preserved their humanity and agency, weaving a tapestry of empowerment amid a world intent on marginalization. Their traditions, though often hidden, echoed with profound significance, testaments to lives that refused to be erased. And as the lamp's glow fades into the quiet night, the passing of knowledge endures, an unbroken chain linking the women of Rome's past with those who follow. Rome was a city defined by laws that sought to regulate every corner of life, from commerce to conduct, from speech to the very fabric of social order. For the women whose lives unfolded under its watchful eye, these laws were both boundaries and battlegrounds, lines drawn sharply between acceptance and exclusion. Imagine the weight of statutes penned by those who never walked the streets they governed, the cold calculus of rules that dictated where and how a woman could exist. The white toga marked legal status, subjecting its wearer to restrictions yet also, paradoxically, to a certain protection within the city's framework. Navigating these boundaries required skill, a dance of compliance and resistance, of silence and assertion, of public submission and private defiance. Within this tension, the women lived fully complicated lives, negotiating contracts, managing risks, and carving out spaces for survival amid a landscape shaped by power and prejudice. Their existence was a testament to resilience, not only in the face of personal hardship but against the structural forces that sought to contain and define them. Through the shifting interplay of law and life, they forged paths marked by courage, cunning, and an enduring claim to selfhood. As the city breathes under the midday sun, these women move quietly among its thrumming heart, a living reminder that history's boundaries are always contested and redefined by those who live within them. As the eternal city of Rome sleeps beneath the vast canopy of stars, its ancient stones hold secrets both spoken and silent, whispers of countless lives etched into the fabric of history. Among these echoes are the stories of women who lived on the edges of society, whose resilience and courage wove hidden threads through the city's grand narrative. Imagine the cool night air brushing past crumbling columns, the soft rustle of leaves stirring ancient memories. These shadows remind us that history is not only shaped by emperors and senators but also by those whose names remain unrecorded, whose daily struggles and quiet victories form the hidden backbone of civilization. The legacy of Rome's women, marked by hardship, hope, and unyielding spirit, invites us to look beyond surface judgments and recognize the profound humanity that endures beneath the white toga. Their stories linger in the night, soft echoes that transcend time, reminding us that beneath the grandeur of empire lie the enduring truths of survival, identity, and the indomitable will to live. And as the moon casts its gentle glow over the eternal city, these shadows become light, guiding us to a deeper understanding of history's full, complex tapestry. There is a stillness here on the Aventine, a stillness that the centuries have not stolen. The cobblestones, worn smooth by countless feet, lie cool under the breath of night. Olive branches sway in a rhythm older than empire, their shadows spilling over the walls, like ink upon a forgotten scroll. Once, in this very place, merchants murmured about grain prices and river tolls, lovers exchanged hurried promises in the dark, and barefoot children ran in the dust, while temple bells marked the slow turning of the hours. But now the air is quiet. The hum of the markets, the ringing of the blacksmith's hammer, the songs of sailors tying their ships to the Tiber's banks, all have dissolved into the hush of memory. Above it all, the moon keeps her silent watch. Round, patient, eternal, she lays a pale blessing on every broken column and weathered arch, as though to remind them that even in ruin, there is a kind of grace. Beyond the city walls, wolves still call to one another, in the language of the wild. Their voices weave through the dark cypress groves, threads of silver stitching the night together. And in their cry, there is something older than history, something that remembers the time when Rome was nothing more than a handful of huts on a hill, their fires glowing in the vast dark, their people drawing close against the cold, bound together not by empire but by survival. Close your eyes here, and you can almost hear them still. The murmur of early settlements, the crackle of burning wood, the low hum of a lullaby, sung to a sleeping child. Time folds in on itself, and you stand for one breath, one heartbeat, in both the past and the present, held gently between the two, like a candle in cupped hands. Somewhere high above the sleeping street, a single lamp burns. Its light is fragile, barely more than a trembling breath, but in the hush of the night, it feels as if it could guide lost ships home. Behind that narrow window, a woman sits alone, her hair unpinned, her hands resting still after a day's labor. The world outside knows nothing of her thoughts. Yet within her, a tide of memory swells. She recalls the scent of the Tiber after summer rain, the voice of a child she once held, the hum of markets that now lie silent. This light is not for reading, nor for sewing, nor for prayer. It is simply for keeping the darkness company. It marks her presence in a city that forgets faces as quickly as it erases names. The flame bends and straightens in the quiet wind, like a heartbeat resisting sleep. It is a defiance, a declaration without words. I'm still here. And as the hours pass, this tiny beacon holds its place in the vast silence, reminding us that in the great expanse of history, sometimes the smallest lights are the ones that never go out. From somewhere in the quiet, sound emerges. Soft, steady, deliberate. The gentle slap of leather on stone, each footstep echoing faintly between the walls. A lone figure moves through the sleeping quarter. Their cloak is drawn close against the night air, face hidden in the folds of shadow. Perhaps they are returning home from the baths, or delivering a message too private for daylight. Perhaps they are simply walking, because the night has called them out. The rhythm of sandals grows louder for a moment, then fades again into the distance, like the memory of a half-heard song. In this city, movement never fully ceases. There is always someone awake, someone traveling, someone carrying their own unseen purpose. Through the labyrinth of streets, above, the moon drifts behind a ragged cloud, and the world dims a shade darker. The figure turns a corner and disappears, their footsteps swallowed by silence. And yet the sound seems to linger, as if the stone itself remembers the tread. Rome's streets are like a vast ear, listening, never forgetting the passage of those who have walked them in solitude down the vein of a quiet alley. Light breathes in unsteady rhythm, the flutter of a torch held in a human hand. Its flame sways with each step, casting shadows that stretch and contract, like creatures waking from a dream. The air here is thicker, carrying the mingled scents of damp stone, and the faint sweetness of figs, left too long in a wooden crate. Somewhere in the darkness, the cat watches, still unblinking, as if weighing the soul of the passerby. The torchbearer moves without haste, their sandals silent on the wet stones. Perhaps they know these alleys well enough to walk them blind. The light touches closed shutters, and hinges, graffiti carved by hands. Now decades gone, and for a moment, the city feels smaller, as though it has folded in upon itself, hiding its grandeur beneath the intimacy of a single narrow street. The torch turns another corner, and the flame disappears, leaving only the slow return of darkness. And yet, in the mind's eye, the glow remains, a reminder that even in the deepest night, some carry the ember of purpose. Through the shadows, behind closed doors, where the city's clamor fades to a distant murmur, whispers rise, soft, urgent, and filled with the weight of secrets. In these hidden spaces, words become a currency more precious than gold. Two voices lean close in the flickering light, their stories weaving threads of trust between their souls. They speak not just to pass the time, but to share fears, hopes, and the fragile plans that might carry them through the uncertain dawn. Imagine the scent of oil and herbs, the quiet creak of worn wood beneath tired bodies, the gentle rhythm of breath in the stillness. Here, voices carry more than sound. They carry survival, solidarity, the unspoken promise of companionship, amid a city that too often demands silence. These whispered exchanges are the heartbeat of community, invisible bonds that hold together. Those living on the margins, those whose lives history may overlook, but whose courage and connection shape the very fabric of the city's soul. And as the night deepens, these soft murmurs fade into the quiet, becoming part of the eternal hum that rises and falls with the pulse of Rome itself. In the heart of the city's quiet corners, beneath the cloak of night and away from prying eyes, there thrives a delicate and unbreakable web, a network woven from whispered words and shared glances, a sisterhood bound not by law or blood, but by the intimate strength of survival and trust. Picture this courtyard, embraced by ancient stones, where the air is thick with the scent of blooming jasmine and the soft crackle of a low fire. Here, women gather, not as isolated souls, but as threads in a fabric, each one supporting the other with stories, advice, and the gentle comfort that only those who have walked similar paths can offer. Their voices rise and fall like a soft melody, sometimes laughter spilling freely, bright and contagious, other times silence deepening with the weight of unspoken fears. Each face carries the marks of life's trials, yet also the quiet glow of resilience, the kind that can only be forged in the crucible of shared hardship. They exchange remedies whispered through generations, secrets of herbs that soothe wounds unseen, rituals to ward off bad fortune, and the careful art of navigating a world that too often misunderstands and judges. This sisterhood is a sanctuary, a place where identity is reclaimed and dignity preserved, even as the city's grand narratives omit their presence. Within this circle, strength is multiplied, and the power to endure becomes a shared flame, flickering gently yet fiercely against the darkness. As the night stretches on and the stars wheel overhead, these women are the quiet architects of hope, their bonds the unseen mortar holding together not just their lives, but the very soul of the city itself. And in the gentle silence that follows their stories, the air itself seems to hold its breath, honoring the profound truth that sometimes the greatest power lies not in monuments of stone, but in the quiet, enduring threads of human connection. In the stillness of Rome's deepest night, when the city's breath slows and the noise retreats, there are those who remain silent watchers, whose vigil holds the fragile balance between safety and chaos. They do not carry swords gilded in triumph, nor robes embroidered with the insignia of power, but their presence is no less vital. These guardians move unseen, walking the labyrinth of narrow alleys and shadowed corners, listening to the whispers that rise on the night air, the quiet plea for help, the faint murmur of trouble brewing. the sound of footsteps that do not belong. Imagine their eyes, sharp and steady, piercing the darkness without judgment or fear, their senses attuned to the city's secret rhythms. They are the watchers who see beyond the veneer of stone and marble, into the lives woven beneath, the vulnerable, the forgotten, the resilient. Their watch is a burden and a blessing, a silent promise made to a city that rarely acknowledges their sacrifice. They move with purpose born of experience, knowing the streets as intimately as their own breath, carrying stories not told aloud, but carried in the weight of their gaze. In their quiet vigilance, there is a profound compassion, an understanding that protection is not always loud or visible, but often takes the form of a shadow held gently at the edge of sight, a hand extended without fanfare, presence that says, "You are not alone." As dawn begins to tinge the sky with pale light, these watchers fade into the waking city, their work unseen, but their impact lasting, like the steady pulse beneath Rome's eternal heartbeat, within the quiet walls of a humble room, where the world outside fades into distant murmurs. There exists a sanctuary not of stone or gold, but of trust, of care, and the unspoken understanding forged between women. Picture the soft glow of an oil lamp, its light steady yet tender, casting flickering shadows that dance across worn faces. Here, one woman tends the hands of another, calloused, perhaps, or trembling with the weight of the day. This act of care is both simple and profound, a language beyond words, speaking of resilience, of healing, and of the shared strength that sustains them. In this small space, stories are exchanged, not just tales of hardship, but of hope and courage, the quiet victories that keep the flame of spirit alive. Each gesture is a thread in a larger tapestry, the fabric of sisterhood, woven through whispered words and gentle touch. These bonds transcend the harsh judgments of the world beyond, forming a refuge against loneliness, a shield against despair. They remind us that even in times of great struggle, human connection remains a source of endless light. And as the night deepens, and the city breathes softly outside, this room holds a timeless truth, that love, care, and solidarity, though unseen by history's grand narratives, are the quiet pillars upon which life endures. Before the sun even hints at rising, Rome is already awake in the shadows. Not the Rome of processions and marble arches, but the Rome of early markets, where survival begins with the day's first trade. The stones beneath bare feet are cold, still holding the night's breath. A faint mist clings to the ground, blurring the line between dream and waking. Here, torches sputter in the dark, their flames bending in the breeze, like weary sentinels standing guard over the city's quiet heart. Merchants arrive in silence, their hands numb but practiced, arranging figs still dewy from the orchards, laying out olives glistening in shallow clay bowls, setting loaves of bread whose crusts crack softly in the cool air. Among them walks a woman, her shawl drawn tightly around her shoulders, eyes scanning the stalls not with the luxury of choice, but with the calculation of need. Each coin in her palm feels heavy, for it is weighed not in bronze, but in the cost of the labor that earned it. Around her, the marketplace hums quietly, the rhythm of barter, of murmured greetings, of the city's unseen lifeblood flowing long before. Its marble facades bask in the sun. There is dignity here, in the careful exchange of goods, in the silent respect between buyer and seller, in the knowledge that each transaction is more than trade, it is trust. And when the first pale light spills over the rooftops, catching the curve of a temple column, this woman will already be on her way home, carrying not just food, but the quiet triumph of having navigated another morning in the eternal city. Night is reluctant to release its hold. The stars still burn faintly above the city, each one mirrored in the slow, silver shimmer of the Tiber's winding waters. Rome in this hour belongs to the few, to bakers tending their ovens, to guards pacing the marble steps of temples, to mothers waking to light the first fire. From the Aventine to the Capitoline, The streets lie hushed but not asleep. The stones have memory of chariot wheels, of sandals worn smooth by countless feet, of rainwater and spilled wine, of laughter and arguments, echoed long after voices have gone. In the alleys, warm amber light seeps. From behind shuttered windows, the promise of bread baking, of broth simmering slowly. In blackened clay pots, the air smells of charcoal and river mist, of early figs and damp wool, of a city breathing in unison. Before the day begins its relentless march, somewhere a rooster crows, a sound swallowed quickly by the cavernous streets. And in the stillness that follows, you can almost hear the beating heart of the empire itself, a rhythm older than the emperors, older even than the walls, a pulse carried by the hands that sweep and haul and shape and mend. Soon, the great forums will stir. The bronze doors of temples will groan open. The clang of hammers will echo from the smithies. Children will run barefoot across courtyards, and the city will blaze with heat and voices. But for now, Rome stands poised in the fragile hour between night and day, its power hidden in silence, its glory resting quietly beneath the stars. Dawn breaks softly over the eternal city, its light spilling like honey over the terracotta roofs and marble columns, touching every surface with a tender glow, a quiet benediction for the day to come. The city exhales from the deep breath of night, awakening slowly beneath the gentle embrace of morning. Shutters creak open, releasing cool air laced with the scent of wood smoke and fresh bread. The cobblestones, still damp with dew, reflect the tentative steps of early risers. Women carrying water jars balanced with practiced ease, bakers tending their ovens' fiery hearts, merchants arranging their stalls with careful hands. Voices rise in a soft chorus. The murmur of greetings, the laughter of children released from sleep, the distant toll of temple bells calling the faithful to prayer. Each sound threads itself into the fabric of the waking city, weaving a tapestry of life that will pulse with energy until dusk returns once more. Here, where empire and everyday meet, the grandeur of Rome is measured not only in stone and statue, but in the small acts that sustain, the breaking of bread, the fixing of worn sandals, the quiet exchange of coins and smiles. For in these moments, beneath the rising sun and the watchful gaze of ancient gods, Rome is not just a city of power and conquest, it is a living, breathing community. And through the unrecorded lives, the whispered hopes and daily struggles of its people, the eternal city endures as the sun climbs higher, the city's hidden heart begins to beat with steady rhythm. In the narrow courtyards of Insulae, women rise early, their hands busy with chores both humble and essential. They sweep the worn stones with practiced motion, chasing away the shadows left behind by night. Their faces, etched with lines of laughter and fatigue, glow softly in the morning light. Each one a story, a lifetime of joys and hardships folded within. Children, too, stir from sleep, their quiet laughter bubbling like a spring beneath the stone. They dart between legs and baskets, their bare feet finding familiar paths. Across the mosaic floors and cracked plaster walls, merchants and laborers move with purpose, carrying the weight of the city's day, baskets brimming with vegetables, freshly plucked from the fields beyond, loaves of bread warm from the ovens, and jars of fragrant oil and honey. Every face, every gesture, tells of a city alive beneath the grandeur, a tapestry woven not of marble alone, but of countless small moments, where survival, hope, and community intertwine. In this bustling morning light, Rome reveals its true nature, not as a monument frozen in time, but as a living mosaic, vibrant and resilient, shaped by the hands and hearts of those who call it home. As the morning deepens, the pulse of labor quickens, a symphony of hands shaping the day. Here, artisans bend over their workbenches, their fingers coaxing life from cold clay, turning simple earth into vessels of everyday magic. In the smithy, sparks fly, the clash of hammer and anvil singing a song as old as the city itself. Metal yields and hardens beneath the steady rhythm, crafting tools, weapons, and trinkets, each strike a note in the orchestra of survival. Bakers, masters of fire and flour, pull loaves fresh and warm from the glowing ovens, the aroma rising like a prayer to the gods of hearth and home. Their hands are quick, precise, balancing strength with tenderness, ensuring the bread will nourish bodies and souls alike. Women move through the streets, carrying water from fountains and wells, their steps steady despite the weight they bear. They are the invisible arteries, carrying life-giving sustenance through the veins of the city. Children dart past, their laughter weaving through the clamor, reminders that amid toil and trade, joy still finds its place. In this chorus of work, Rome's true power reveals itself, not in marble statues or imperial decrees, but in the relentless, quiet efforts of countless hands, building, creating, sustaining, day by day, hour by hour, until the city hums with the life of 1,000 stories, unfolding beneath the sun. In a quiet corner of Rome, away from the bustle of the Forum and the grand temples, a potter kneels beside his wheel, his hands moving with patient certainty, soft fingers coaxing life from cold, wet clay. The wheel spins slowly beneath his touch, shaping curves and contours that will hold water, grain, and wine. Each vessel is more than mere utility. It is a silent witness to daily life, a container of memories, meals, and moments. The potter's workshop smells of damp earth and warm stone, a place where creation is a sacred act, where the cycle of nature meets the hand of human care. Around him, shelves cradle finished pieces, jars awaiting a journey to distant markets, bowls destined to hold the family's meal, urns to preserve the fragrant oils treasured by Rome's citizens. In his focused stillness, the potter is a bridge between the city's past and future, transforming raw matter into objects that endure, objects that tell the stories of a people who build their lives, one humble vessel at a time. And as the wheel slows and the sun climbs higher, his hands pause, resting on clay, on life, on the quiet rhythm of a craft as ancient as Rome itself. In the heart of the city's bustling streets, the blacksmith's forge roars with life, a place where fire and iron dance in timeless union. The blacksmith stands steady, muscles taut, his hammer rising and falling in a relentless rhythm, shaping raw metal into tools of survival and power. Each strike is a pulse, a heartbeat echoing the city's own fierce vitality. The air is thick with smoke and the scent of burning coal, a reminder that creation often demands sacrifice. Heat that sears the skin, sweat that drips unheeded, and the sharp ring of steel against steel, singing a song as old as civilization itself. Within these walls, swords are forged for soldiers, hoes and plows for farmers, nails and hinges for homes and ships. The blacksmith is both artist and laborer, a guardian of the tools that build and defend Rome's vast empire. His hands, blackened and calloused, carry the knowledge passed down through generations, a tradition as enduring as the stones lining the city's streets. And as sparks fly into the shadows, there is a quiet pride in the forging of something lasting, something that will serve a purpose far beyond this fleeting moment. In the glowing forge, the future of Rome is hammered into shape, one strike at a time. Before the first light of dawn breaks over the city's rooftops, the baker is already awake, his world wrapped in the warmth and scent of hearth and flame. In the quiet hours before Rome stirs, he tends the glowing heart of the oven, where fire transforms simple flour and water into the sustenance that will nourish the city's thousands. The air is thick with the scent of yeast and smoke, flour dust hanging like mist, dancing in the shafts of early light that creep through the bakery's doorway. Each loaf is shaped with care, rounded, scored, and placed upon the stone hearth, where heat and patience work their alchemy. The crusts will crackle and brown, promising warmth and fullness to hands that will grasp them in homes, markets, and temples alike. The baker's hands are skilled and steady, guided by years of tradition passed from father to son, from master to apprentice. There is pride in this craft, not just in the bread itself, but in the role it plays, a daily ritual binding the city's soul. Bread is more than food here. It is a symbol of life's continuity, a shared bond that knits together rich and poor, slave and citizen, merchant and soldier. In the breaking of bread, Rome finds community, comfort, and resilience. Outside, the city awakens, voices rising, footsteps quickening, life unfolding in 1,000 small acts. But within this warm, flower-dusted room, time slows, honoring the simple miracle of sustenance born from fire and earth. And as the first loaves are lifted from the oven, their golden glow mirrors the rising sun, a humble but profound promise that life goes on. As dawn blossoms into morning, the baker steps beyond the warm glow of his hearth, carrying the fruits of his labor into the bustling heart of the marketplace. The air here is alive with energy, the clamor of voices bargaining, the rhythmic clatter of footsteps on stone, the mingling sense of spices, fresh fruits, and hot bread. The baker's stall is a beacon of comfort and necessity, where golden loaves, still warm from the oven, promise nourishment and reprieve. Each crust, cracked and fragrant, bears the imprint of countless hands, the miller who ground the grain, the farmer who harvested the wheat, the baker who coaxed it into life. In the exchange of coins and bread, there is a rhythm that sustains the city, an ancient dance of trust and survival. The baker knows many faces, the weary soldier seeking strength for the day, the mother feeding hungry children, the merchant preparing for a long journey. Each transaction is more than commerce. It is connection. It weaves the baker into the tapestry of Rome, binding him to the hopes, fears, and daily rituals of his fellow citizens. Amid the market's vibrant chaos, the simple act of breaking bread becomes sacred, a reminder that beneath the grandeur of empire, life is sustained by humble acts, by warmth shared, by hands reaching out across stone and time. And as the sun climbs higher, casting long shadows over the forum and temples, the baker's role shines quietly, an enduring testament to the power of sustenance, community, and the human spirit. Beneath the steady rhythm of daily bread lies a complex web of rules and responsibilities, laws forged to protect the city's sustenance, and to safeguard the trust between baker and citizen. Rome was a city ruled not only by emperors and senators, but by the silent force of regulation, ensuring that bread, the staple of life, remained pure, fairly priced, and honestly weighed. Imagine the baker's careful hands, balancing loaves on a brass scale, measured against standards set by the city's magistrates. One grain too light, one coin too heavy, and the consequences could be severe: fines, public shame, or worse. These laws were not mere formalities, but vital protections in a world where bread was the foundation of peace. Too little, and hunger would breed unrest. Too much greed, and the city's fragile harmony would shatter. Bakers were guardians of this delicate balance, walking a narrow path between livelihood and responsibility. Their craft was not only skill but honor, a contract written in flour and fire, sealed by the gaze of the community. City officials made surprise visits, checking ovens, scales, and records, reminders that every loaf bore the weight, not just of sustenance but of social trust. Within these strict boundaries, bakers carved out a space for creativity and pride. Guilds formed, apprentices learned, and the knowledge of bread-making was passed carefully, ensuring continuity amidst the city's ceaseless change. And so, through laws and labor intertwined, the simple loaf became a pillar, holding up the life of Rome, one measured slice at a time. Among the countless souls who sustain Rome, there is Lucia, a baker whose hands bear the weight of both craft and consequence. Her day begins long before dawn, kneading dough with practiced rhythm, her muscles aching from years of tireless labor. Each loaf she shapes carries the hopes of her family and the unyielding pressure of the city's laws. Lucia knows well the magistrates' watchful eyes, the scales that must balance perfectly, the prices that cannot cross the line of fairness. A single misstep could spell ruin, not just for her shop, but for the fragile trust she has built with her customers. Her neighbors depend on her. The widow with hungry children, the soldier returning from distant battles, the merchant whose fortunes rise and fall like the tides. Each one comes seeking more than bread. They come for sustenance, comfort, a moment of reprieve. Yet, beneath this daily exchange lies a silent struggle. Between survival and sacrifice. Between the demands of law and the needs of the heart. Lucia's story is one of resilience, of bending beneath the weight of expectation, without breaking, of finding joy in the warmth of the oven's glow, and solace in the shared breaking of bread. Her hands tell a story not recorded in marble or scrolls, but written in flour-dusted fingerprints, on the very fabric of Rome. And as the city hums around her, she rises again to meet the day. A quiet hero in the eternal city's unfolding tale, in the eternal city's ceaseless flow. There exists a tapestry of lives, woven tightly together by the humble act of breaking bread. The soldier, dusted in the grime of distant campaigns, seeks the simple comfort of a warm loaf, a reminder of home and hearth amid uncertainty. The mother, her arms cradling a small child, bargains carefully for sustenance, each coin stretched to provide the smallest taste of security, a fragile shield against hunger's shadow. The merchant, polished and pragmatic, exchanges coin for bread with the efficiency of commerce, his mind already racing toward the day's next deal, yet quietly reliant on the city's unseen hands to keep the world turning. An elderly man, bent but resolute, leans on a cane as he waits patiently, his weathered face etched with stories of decades past, knowing that each loaf carries the memory of years and the promise of days yet to come. These faces, so different in circumstance and story, are bound by the daily ritual of sustenance, a ritual carried forward by bakers like Lucia, whose hands bridge the gap between need and provision, between survival and community. In this shared moment, the grand sweep of empire narrows to the simple truth that beneath the marble and the banners, life is sustained by countless small acts of care and connection, and that the breaking of bread remains one of the oldest, most sacred of all. In the sprawling labyrinth of Rome's streets and alleys, amidst towering temples and imposing forums, there exists a quieter, softer rhythm, the heartbeat of community, pulsing steadily through the lives of its people. Here, in the shared spaces of the neighborhood square, the simple act of breaking bread blossoms into a sacred ritual of connection, a symbol of unity woven into the very fabric of daily existence. Neighbors greet one another with nods and smiles, exchanging news and stories, their voices mingling with the laughter of children chasing one another. Between the shadows of ancient stone, street musicians strum lyres and flutes, their melodies floating through the warm air, adding a subtle harmony to the tapestry of life. Nearby, an elderly man shares pieces of bread with a group of children, a gesture that transcends age and status, reminding all present that here, in this place, they are bound by something greater than themselves. This is the invisible web that holds the city together, not forged by law or empire alone, but by the countless moments of generosity, trust, and mutual reliance. Bread, baked by skilled hands like Lucia's, becomes the tangible expression of this bond. Nourishment not just for the body, but for the soul. Through famine and feast, peace and upheaval, this daily communion sustains Rome's spirit, transforming strangers into neighbors, neighbors into family. And as the sun sinks low, casting a golden glow over the rooftops, the city breathes with a collective sigh, a testament to resilience, to hope, and to the enduring power of shared humanity. In these small, sacred acts, Rome's greatness reveals itself, not in monuments or conquest, but in the unbroken chain of lives. Knit tightly by the simple, profound act of breaking bread together, bread in ancient Rome was never merely sustenance. It was a living symbol, a sacred thread linking the earthly to the divine. In temples and homes alike, Loaves were offered to gods and spirits, tokens of gratitude and pleas for protection. The golden crust, baked to perfection, was a humble gift bearing hopes as fragrant as the wheat fields it sprang from. During festivals and rites, priests lifted loaves on marble altars, their hands steady beneath the weight of tradition. The bread became a bridge, a physical embodiment of devotion, carrying prayers from mortal lips to immortal ears. For Romans, the sharing of bread was an act of communion, an expression of trust and fellowship that extended beyond the mortal realm. It united families at hearth and table, bound communities in times of celebration and mourning, and honored the gods who watched over every seed sown, every harvest gathered. Even in the bustling marketplaces and humble kitchens, the spiritual significance lingered, a reminder that life, like bread, is a gift to be nurtured and shared. The baker's craft was thus hallowed, not only a trade of skill and sweat, but a sacred duty, a ritual that sustained both body and spirit. And so, beneath the grandeur of empire, amidst the clang of swords and the murmur of senators, the simple loaf carried the weight of faith, an ancient symbol of life's enduring cycle. From earth to table, from mortal to divine, throughout the cycles of the Roman calendar, bread held a place of honor at the heart of communal celebration, its presence a quiet yet profound thread binding festivity to tradition, joy to shared identity. In the warm light of festival days, the city's public squares blossomed into vibrant gatherings, where citizens from all walks of life converged, to feast, to dance, to worship, and to remember. Long tables groaned under the weight of abundant food, and among these offerings, loaves of bread, simple yet sacred, stood proudly. Their golden crusts, shaped into various forms and symbols, spoke silently of the earth's bounty and the hands that had nurtured it. Bread was broken and shared freely, a tangible expression of generosity and community. It was offered to the gods, passed hand to hand among friends and strangers alike, uniting the crowd in a shared act of gratitude and sustenance. Music and laughter rose into the warm sky. Children danced beneath fluttering banners, and elders recounted tales of Rome's founding and glory, all underpinned by the enduring ritual of breaking bread together. These festivals were not merely celebrations of abundance, but affirmations of Rome's resilience, a reminder that through hardship and triumph, through the shifting tides of power and peace, the city's soul was sustained by the simple, sacred act of sharing life's essentials. In every crumb passed, every loaf broken, there echoed the heartbeat of a civilization, alive, vibrant, and forever intertwined with the humble grain as the centuries passed. The rituals of bread, both sacred and everyday, shifted and evolved, mirroring the changing tides of Roman society itself. The loaf remained constant, a steadfast symbol in a city of transformation, yet its meanings deepened, fractured, and multiplied across the spectrum of Rome's diverse inhabitants. In the light of the market's bustle and the glow of festival fires, bread united, but also revealed the city's divides. From the noble tables of senators and patricians, to the crowded insulae where the plebs struggled for daily sustenance, this humble staple bore witness to the fragile balance of power, poverty, and survival. Within this vast mosaic of life, there moved shadows often overlooked, women and men whose stories slipped between the cracks of official histories and grand monuments. Among them, the Roman prostitutes, cloaked in their distinctive female togae, marked by law and stigma, yet resilient and resourceful in the city's margins. For these women, bread was both a daily necessity and a fleeting luxury, a symbol of nourishment and survival amid hardship. Their lives intertwined with the city's rhythms, as essential and vulnerable as the bread that fed its hungry streets. In the evening's fading light, as lanterns flickered and whispers rose, Rome revealed its layered soul, a city where light and shadow danced endlessly, where the sacred and profane, the visible and the hidden, wove together the enduring tapestry of life, Beneath the grandeur of Rome's marble temples and bustling forums, there exists another city, a city of shadows, secrets, and resilience. Here, in narrow alleys and windowless lupanars, lived the women who bore the weight of the city's desires and disdain, the prostitutes of Rome, marked by their distinctive female togae. Visible yet invisible, present yet pushed to the margins. Their lives were shaped by contradiction, a profession both regulated and reviled, necessary yet scorned. They moved between public visibility and private vulnerability, their bodies and spirits navigating a delicate balance between agency and exploitation. In cramped, dim chambers, behind doors that rarely fully closed, these women endured harsh realities, limited privacy, constant threats, and the ever-present shadow of disease and violence. Yet within these hardships blossomed networks of support, business acumen, and even defiant camaraderie. Prostitutes formed communities, sharing knowledge and care, crafting spaces of survival amid the city's relentless demands. Their appearance, the female toga worn as a uniform, was both a signal and a shield, marking them as outcasts in the eyes of many, yet also asserting a form of professional identity. The streets echoed with their calls and the graffiti that advertised their trade, bold and unyielding amidst a society that sought to contain and control them. In the intersection of law, economy, and social judgment, Roman prostitutes carved out a complex existence, one of resilience and negotiation, where survival often meant transforming vulnerability into strength. As night deepened and the city's lights flickered low, these women's stories whispered through the stones, reminders that history's margins are often where the truest human stories unfold, in all their pain, courage, and complexity. In the sprawling machinery of Roman law, the lives of prostitutes were tightly regulated, woven into a complex legal tapestry that both constrained and defined their existence. Roman authorities acknowledged their presence, not as mere shadows, but as part of the city's fabric, yet with a strict hierarchy that marked them as distinct, both protected and persecuted by statutes. The female toga they wore was a legal mandate, a visible badge of their profession, designed to separate and stigmatize, to mark them as outsiders in a society that prized order and distinction. Prostitution was taxed and controlled, brothels licensed and inspected, yet the women themselves lived under constant scrutiny, their freedoms curtailed, their reputations forever tarnished. The law's gaze was both a sword and shield, offering a degree of protection from arbitrary violence, while simultaneously enforcing social exclusion and moral judgment. Within this legal labyrinth, women had to navigate carefully, balancing survival against the harsh realities of economic exploitation, limited rights, and social scorn. Despite these constraints, many showed remarkable agency, negotiating contracts, cultivating clients, building reputations that could command higher fees and relative security. The streets bore witness to their resilience, through graffiti boldly advertising services, to the taverns where sharp wit and skill were as valuable as beauty. In this world, law and life collided, revealing a society struggling to contain what it could not fully control, and the indomitable human spirit striving to carve space within rigid structures. As Rome's streets hummed with activity, the echoes of these women's lives persisted, a testament to survival in the margins, and to the complex interplay between power, identity, and agency, beyond the laws and the public gaze, beyond the crude graffiti and shouted calls, lived the intimate, unseen rhythms of daily life, the moments of quiet before the city awoke. For the women in their distinctive female togae, each day began with preparation, not just of their appearance, but of their spirits, their resilience, their readiness to face the world's harsh light and shadows alike. In cramped chambers without windows, they gathered their strength, lighting oil lamps, arranging simple belongings, steeling themselves for the day's trials and encounters. Some tended wounds old and new, others whispered prayers to protect their fragile health, and many reached out in small gestures of kindness to companions who shared their fate. The streets outside were both marketplace and battlefield, where fortunes could be won or lost with a single encounter, and where every smile, every word, was a negotiation in a delicate dance of survival. In taverns and along busy streets, their presence was both a livelihood and a mark of vulnerability. Yet beneath the surface, they built networks of support, friendship, and fierce loyalty. Their stories, often silenced or forgotten, reveal a tapestry of human experience. Hope and despair, strength and fragility, business acumen and heartfelt dreams. These women were not merely figures of scandal, but complex individuals navigating a world that sought to define them narrowly, while their lives proved rich, varied, and deeply human. As Rome stirred to life beyond their doors, their stories wove quietly into the city's endless narrative. Whispers in the night, echoes beneath the marble. The hidden pulse of the eternal city in the rich tapestry of Roman culture. Prostitution was both a reality and a reflection, a mirror in which society projected its fears, desires, and contradictions. Poets and playwrights wove stories that both vilified and romanticized, painting these women as temptresses, victims, or clever survivors. Their words echoed through marble halls and crowded theaters, shaping popular imagination with images both seductive and cautionary. Mythology intertwined with reality. Figures like Venus and Aphrodite, goddesses of love and desire, cast long shadows over the streets and taverns. Their divine allure contrasted sharply with the human struggles of those who walked beneath the city's glow. Public attitudes were complex and often contradictory. Condemnation mingled with fascination, scorn with grudging respect. Prostitution was seen as a necessary vice, a social safety valve and an enduring moral puzzle. Satirical graffiti, crude jokes, and biting satire revealed the city's unease and the persistent stigmas, yet they also spoke to the women's undeniable presence and influence in daily life. Literary voices recorded not just judgment, but glimpses of humanity, moments of vulnerability, humor, and resilience. Through these cultural lenses, the lives of prostitutes were refracted, distorted yet illuminated, revealing as much about Rome itself as about the women at its margins. In the interplay of myth and mirror, the eternal city's complexity found one of its most vivid expressions, where desire, power, survival, and identity converged in stories that continue to resonate through time. Amid the vast anonymity of Rome's bustling streets, there were women whose names and stories pierced the veil of history. Prostitutes whose lives were recorded not only in law and myth, but in personal accounts, inscriptions, and fleeting whispers. Take the story of Cytheris, a freedwoman turned celebrated courtesan, whose beauty and wit won the favor of powerful men, from poets to generals. Her life, marked by both admiration and scandal, reveals the complexities of status, agency, and survival in a rigid society. Or consider the tale of Pythias, whose name appears on a funerary inscription, a rare glimpse into the human side of a trade often reduced to stereotype. Her epitaph, tender and respectful, speaks to a life lived fully, with relationships and memories beyond the profession. Such stories disrupt simple narratives, showing that Roman prostitutes were not merely victims or villains, but individuals navigating a world that was often harsh and unforgiving. From the enslaved to the freed, from the lowliest street worker to the elegant meretrix, their lives were diverse and nuanced, each shaped by circumstance, choice, and the intricate dance of power. These personal histories, though rare, remind us that behind the public persona and legal labels were women of courage, complexity, and enduring humanity. Voices echoing faintly across the millennia, inviting us to listen beyond the silence of the stones. In the intricate economy of ancient Rome, prostitution was not merely a private act, it was a bustling marketplace, a commercial enterprise with rules, structures, and fierce competition. Brothels, known as luminaria, stood as public yet regulated spaces, where women plied their trade under the watchful eyes of proprietors and magistrates alike. These establishments varied from modest rooms with simple furnishings to more opulent spaces catering to wealthier patrons. The economics of desire were complex. Prices fluctuated based on beauty, skills, health, and connections. High-end courtesans or meretrices cultivated refined talents in music, poetry, and conversation, offering experiences that transcended mere physical transactions. Client relationships were layered and negotiated. Beyond fleeting encounters, some women cultivated regular patrons, creating networks of mutual benefit, protection, and sometimes affection. Yet beneath this surface of business acumen lay exploitation and hardship. Enslaved women had no control over earnings, while freed women struggled against stigma and limited opportunities. The marketplace was competitive and often brutal, demanding resilience and adaptability from those who sought to survive. Taxes and legal fees added to the burden. The state saw prostitution as a source of revenue, embedding the trade within the broader fiscal machinery of the empire. In this world of commerce and desire, women negotiated identity, survival, and sometimes power within a system that both commodified and constrained them. The bustling streets and dim interiors of brothels bore witness to the delicate balance between agency and subjugation, reminding us that even in the ancient market of flesh and coin, human complexity endured in the shadows where light and pain intertwined. The bodies of Roman prostitutes bore silent witness to the harsh toll of survival in a demanding world. Diseases, injuries, and exhaustion were constant companions. Unseen burdens carried beneath painted smiles and bold facades. Medical knowledge was limited, but women found ways to care for themselves and each other, using herbs, poultices, and ancient remedies passed down. In whispers and secret gatherings, healers and midwives played vital roles, offering relief where official medicine faltered, and crafting rituals of protection against unseen threats. In the fragile balance between sickness and strength, these women navigated pain with courage, their resilience as vital as the air they breathed. Amidst the trials, a powerful force endured, the bonds of sisterhood and solidarity. Prostitutes forged communities of care, where trust was scarce in the wider world, but abundant among those who shared the journey. In whispered conversations and shared meals, they found moments of respite and hope, strengthening each other to face another day. These quiet acts of kindness were lifelines, a testament to the human spirit's capacity to find light even in the darkest corners, beyond the weight of their roles and the shadows of stigma. Many women harbored dreams, whispers of freedom and a life reimagined. Some sought to buy their liberty, turning coins earned into chains broken, stepping from the margins into the light of possibility. Others dreamed of love beyond commerce, of homes filled with laughter rather than sorrow. These hopes, fragile yet fierce, fueled resilience and survival, a quiet rebellion against a world that sought to define them narrowly. Though centuries have passed, the echoes of these women persist, etched into the stones, whispered by the winds through ancient ruins. Their lives, often silenced in grand histories, resonate today, reminders of resilience, complexity, and humanity. In places once hidden from view, the legacy of Rome's marginalized women invites us to remember not only the empire's glory, but the strength and spirit of those who lived its untold stories. Beneath the eternal city's shining marble, beneath its grandeur and history, lie countless stories of courage and survival. Stories of women who walked the margins, who carried burdens unseen, and whose lives, though often overlooked, formed the beating heart of Rome's vast, complex soul. As the city sleeps beneath the stars, their whispers linger, soft, persistent, eternal, reminding us that history is never whole without the voices from its edges. And so, in remembering them, we honor the full tapestry of human experience, rich, tangled, and profoundly enduring as the night deepens over the eternal city, and the soft glow of moonlight bathes ancient stones. We pause to listen to the quiet whispers of lives lived in shadow and light, the women who walked Rome's narrow streets, whose strength shaped the unseen rhythms of the city, remain with us in memory, their stories woven into the fabric of time. Though centuries have passed, their voices still echo softly, a gentle reminder that history is not only told by emperors and heroes, but by those who endured, survived, and persevered, often unseen yet never forgotten. So rest now, beneath the stars of Rome, carrying their courage in your dreams, and wake with a heart fuller, knowing the past holds many quiet heroes, waiting patiently to be heard. Good night, and may your journey through history bring peace and wonder to your soul.